Thank you, everybody who's been waiting. We are here with Sterling Osment. He is a concept artist and very talented, just very talented designer and artist. And he's joining us from Australia. And just a pleasure to have him today. And he'll be showing you guys some his work, talking about his journey, and then do a little demo for everybody, which I think will be really nice. So thank you very much, Sterling, for joining.
Thanks, Jaron. Thank you. Nice to
Awesome.
be here.
Yeah, well, first of all, just to introduce myself, if this is your first time watching, we do these lives every Thursday, and we highlight somebody from the community, and we show their work, and we just learn more about their journey, and just feel try and learn something. So if you have any questions during the live, um, feel free to ask. I'll pop the questions that are coming through over to Sterling at periodic moments throughout the live, and then obviously this will be available after it's recorded. So, just to introduce myself, I'm the design community manager here at Gravity Sketch, and so I connect Gravity Sketch with the community and talk to all of you and answer your messages and also help create some training content and things like that. So it's a pleasure to meet people like Sterling, and it's just great. So Sterling, if you want to just introduce yourself and just give a little introduction to who you are, that'd be great.
Cool. So, my name's Sterling Osment. I'm a VFX and VR artist. I just love using virtual reality to just present and create. Really, it's almost like taking a holiday in a space where it's just yours. You can do whatever you want. So yeah.
it's I totally relate. Yeah, it's just like anything goes here. It's almost sometimes daunting. I feel like it's almost like a blank piece of paper. It's you don't know what to make maybe sometimes.
Funny enough, it's a bit surgical. Like, you kind of have a really clean room, and you have some very surgical type of tools, and then it allows you to just be solely focused on what you're creating in this bizarre place. That you can either change color or leave it surgical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of cool how you can be so, like you say, surgical or free with it.
Yeah.
And it's just whatever you want to do. And I think we'll see by looking at your work, you really are able to keep. You have this. I feel like to me at least, you have this balance of just really refined, but also it's very organic and very like it's very clear, but it stays very free. I don't know if that really explains it
Yeah.
well, but
It's actually, I can only relate it to the word fluidity. Like,
yeah,
it keeps the fluidity you can access in Gravity Sketches really interesting, and it happens in Medium as well. Same sort of place where we can just jump in and just the input range is really short with Gravity Sketch and VR. With VR in itself, that your visualization is there's a really short distance between your visualization of what you're thinking or you're visualizing to what you want to lay down and create. So I find it really, really interesting to jump in and just start something, and in about 20 minutes, whether you want to take it further or whether you want to just leave it, um, what I'm finding is happening with virtual reality, with Gravity Sketch and Medium, you just end up with heaps of assets, just constantly creating and building and making these things. So that modeling with old apps like modeling or vert modeling app, you end up creating a lot more quickly, and it is loose. It is you're free to design. So yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so true. It's yeah, everything you said is so relatable, and I'm sure the people watching just like they find it's a similar experience, and that's why we like hearing from professionals like yourself, just to get your your perspective on these new tools and how it affects your work and how it works into your workflow.
Yeah.
If I could just ask you, I would love to know, and I know that people watching would love to know, sort of what's a little bit of your backstory, of just how you came into art and design, and some of the things you've worked on. I know that people would just love to hear some of just how you came to now. I know it's kind of a big question, but if you could maybe summarize it, I guess.
Yeah, well, so in 1995, when I was pretty young, after school, I was exposed to SGI machines, and I was part of a small production with a really good friend of mine, Michael Hefton, and he was creating this animated series that was a lot like Ants, but it was very different. And this is it's kind of interesting you ask me this, because it made me think stylization sort of where its birth was, and I've never actually stopped to think about it. But basically, we were asked to create these ships and crafts for these little ants to fly around in, and one of them I did, which I used Softimage 1. Beautiful, but because all the panels were on the side, and you just hop, and all the UI would hop in. Anyway, I created a little dragonfly ship, and it was really basic. Like, I'm talking 1995, right? But up to CG, and I think it never changed after that. I was just like, I need to do this, and I went for a scholarship. I missed out on my scholarship because a friend of mine I was living with didn't give me the message. Say, fast forward 12 years after moving through hospitality and working and doing whatever, and I got a contract using Maya for a brain education company, and so I built a 1.5 hour animated series, or animated it was like a series of just this little guy Albert traveling down the brain through the hair into the cerebral spinal fluid, and then into the brain, and then all through the neurons, and time. And it was in a period of 2006 where tutorials would come this, and
Sterling, I think really, your audio is kind of going in and out there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Okay.
I wonder. The connection's good on my end.
Is it?
Yeah. I just want to make sure that people aren't missing stuff. It's because it's going in and going in and out.
Let me just quit the Rift. Maybe that's making some. How's that? Is that better?
I think that's good, yeah.
Okay. I think the audio channels are swapping from...
It's cutting out sometimes still.
Still cutting out. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just switch my mic. Plenty of mics.
Your video's pretty good. It's just the audio sometimes just cuts and then goes back.
Is that better?
Yeah, let's do that. That's good.
Let's do that. Okay. So that's coming straight from the cam. So I did this like small animated series, and it was really interesting. I learned a lot, and the isolation helped me learn quite quickly, even under a lot of pressure. So learning under pressure is probably the hardest thing, and I can only put it down to this: is a small cutscene for a promo tutorial. I could get more information from a small cutscene, like someone showing me, like I was almost like ravenous. You know what I mean? Like if I saw something, I'm talking about walk cycles or designing or rigging, if I saw one small thing that gave me an inkling on what and how to do it, that would be just like a diamond, you know. It would help me substantially. Wow. And then that's how desperate and sad it is that the information flux was just so hard to get good information out of America into Australia, because all these tools existed, you know, regardless of it was more country based, you know.
Interesting.
So anyway, yeah. So to fast forward that, I did work in a studio doing work for Disney, and like that was really interesting. That gave me a big insight into studio work, and it was pretty stressful as well. Like studio work is really heavy, but after that, I just left that and started doing my own freelance work. And again, out of isolation, I built more of a client base because there was no one in my area doing it. So someone would say to me, "Oh, so you do VFX on the Gold Coast in Australia? Like, how do you get work?" And I'm like, "Well, there's heaps of work. Like, there's work everywhere."
Yeah.
You know, like I have clients asking me to do, you know, an explainer video, or I have projection mapping work, you know, 7K projection mapping, all done in Houdini. So I think that over time I learned the basis and the basics of CG from all apps. Every app shares it. It doesn't matter what you use. And in the end, it's about adapting as quick as you can and changing, because each app has the same fundamentals, but it's all just explained differently. Like ZBrush is a little bit different. ZBrush is probably the biggest learning curve, but I started using ZBrush in 2000, it was a long time ago. Like, you know.
Okay.
So ZBrush was people say I can't stand the UI. Like, yeah, I can't stand the UI either, but it's natural for me now. You know, like I've used it for so long. Yeah. So apart from that, though, I did some film work for Thor and for Aquaman and things like that, and another film, a Chinese film that's just not released. It's basically locked away. And I sculpted and designed a full suit for that, and that was really interesting. I sculpted, designed, and set the printers up, and printed it, and watched it go through prefabrication from design, ZBrush design, through print, out to prefabrication to practical effects. So I've watched it and worked in the studios as well for that, which JMB Effects, which is on the Gold Coast, which responsible for like the Pacific and things like that. So that was interesting. But that's part of my journey, you know. Like it's a really there's some really challenging spots. And it only makes you, it either steers you in two directions. It either makes you stronger or it turns you away. So the stronger part, which is, I got to a point where I wasn't getting much work, and I'm a person who believes in absorb or invest. So you can earn money and absorb it, or you can earn money and invest it. So I technically said to myself, what am I going to invest in next? And I saw Don Quake's work with the Oculus, the old CV1, and I just like fired up. I was like, well, first of all, a friend of mine said, "Oh, have you used PlayStation VR?" And I was like, no, I haven't used it. And I tried it, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I got an Oculus Rift CV1, and it just blew me away. Like, it was just unbelievable. It's so exciting, and I'm talking like 6 months in VR straight, like just not coming out, like not like not like 12 hours, like 24 hours a day. I'm saying, like, I was doing 8-hour sessions, 6-hour sessions, and it's really profound because it allows you to become. You're in your space now. I'm in a room, but I can actually hop into another room instantly, and I have endless space, and I have endless creative, I have endless expression where I'm allowed to do whatever I want. And I think really the pitch of my how'd you say it, the exposure was really through Medium and using VR and you know, being part of communities through Facebook. Like, I swear, like, Facebook groups, I think, are the most valuable things for 3D print communities, for VR, for so many different things. And it allows people to connect really quickly and talk and discuss. Like, with my 3D printing, I'm part of 4 different 3D printing groups. And when I started doing resin printing, I was learning the hard way, and then I was teaching people the hard way, you know. No, sorry, teaching people the easy way.
Because you went through the laborious process of learning it.
That's right. Yeah, I did all the mistakes, and then when someone says, "Oh, what's wrong with my 3D printer?" I'm like, "Well, it's this, this, and this," and it takes. I think I learned at an early age. I used to take apart, like, you know, radios and random things and find out why they worked, you know. And I built a technical mind early, and having a technical mind later is really good for you because it just allows you to just engage and analyze. Yeah. Some people are naturally analytical, and some people are just go, "Oh, it's a car. It gets you from A to B." And I'm like, a car is beautiful. It's got these amazing curves on it. It's dynamic. It's so much more than just a car. So there's two sides to the story. You know, my car, I love my car.
Yeah, it's really amazing that, you know, like, you know, tying in, you know, there's different kinds of people, right? You know, there's just the people that, you know, they just see everyday things, and that's what it is. It's an everyday thing, you know. And personally, I love seeing the beauty in everyday things, and because there really is beauty there. I mean, someone designed that, somebody created that, you know, some of that was in someone else's head, you know, and that's really what drew me to design, you know, and it's, you know, I think what draws a lot of us designers and artists to these things is we see the, you know, the seemingly everyday things or just whatever, and we see the art in them and want to emulate that or reinvent it. But yeah, I mean, you know, that journey of the, you know, you talking about your struggle and like of going through those really tough times, it seems like it really prepared you and for just like always wanting to learn and always wanting to like improve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Learning never stops. Learning will never stop. And being challenged helps you learn more, but also growing into a learning practice is also very healthy. You know, like, it's finding out how you learn and the best ways to learn. But observation and analytics is probably the best way to put it. Like, I find nature and insects and oceanic creatures, all of the things that I do are just based on observation, you know. Like, I look at a manta ray and I say, "Oh, it's all sorted out. The aerodynamics are sorted out. Like, why would I change something that perfect and beautiful and dynamic?" I can only capture a sense of that and either portray it through my work or portray it through what does it feel like to be a manta ray? Like, you know, like it's esoterical, but
you
know, like, if I'm in a craft and I'm sitting inside it, but it's a manta ray, well, how does it feel? You know? Like, it would feel pretty cool to be able to fly a craft like that, and that's what I have a lot of designs like that. I have a manta ray ship I'm building, and that's one of my main goals is to eventually have a ray ship that we can fly. But
that would be awesome.
Hopefully.
Gosh, I feel like if any of your vehicle designs or any of your ships were ever real, like, they would just be just stunning to look at. If it was sitting in front of me, it was just like what is this? This is incredible. I mean, they're still stunning to look at, obviously on screen, but it's just like I feel like VR is like that one step closer to experiencing, your what you're talking about there, and getting a sense of what it might feel like, but that might be a good sort of segue. I want to leave enough time for you to share some of your work, because I know that you have been working on some things, and we've been talking obviously about your style, but I'm sure people want to see it.
Cool, let's do it.
Yeah, and I was going to say, one thing I wanted to say was that you just have a very unique style, and that was I've been actually personally following you for a couple of years now, and I've always been aware of you, and I think one of the reasons why you've always stuck in my mind is because of your unique style, and I feel like I can almost pick your work out of if it was in a pile of other work, it's like, oh, that's probably like a Sterling design or something. And so anyway, but I'll quit talking. I'll let you talk about your stuff here. Oh, hey, Sterling, your audio is not coming through at all. No, I don't hear anything. That's really weird. Are you muted by any chance? No, can't hear you still. Interesting. Bear with us, everybody. Just working through some audio stuff. Yeah, I can't hear you at all. It's weird. Maybe try switching to a different audio device and see if that kicks it.
This should be better, yeah?
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I bought a Logitech stream cam because it's like a 60 FPS camera. It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
But I'm noticing today that it's popping in and out, and now I'm back on my old Logitech C910 or something. See if that works, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so what I've been doing recently is designing little pieces that, how'd you say, I did other than for his YouTube channel. And it was interesting because he was like, oh, can you just do a quick video? I'm like, yeah, sure. He'll put it up in a couple of weeks, I think. I'm not sure. And I dropped out this design and then explained it at the same time. And it was really interesting. And then I ended up taking it and going, oh my God, this is amazing. And I put it through Blender and it came out the other end. I'm like, I think I'm going to kind of art. Last night I sort of finished up printing it and fabricating it. And it's called a Cynex 717. I come up with really bizarre names because I kind of, it's all really personal, but I sort of look at an object and then I start to roll through this random sequence of names or sounds, and then I end up with these names.
That's amazing. I love it.
I sort of say what I try to use strange language, like Cynex is a strange glitch on language, and I have Makana, which is one other character, and I think that originally the Egyptian sense of names was very interesting to me because they have these really wild names, and
yeah,
the scarab is called the Kepera. But so this is a craft, and then
I started doing some of I started painting it. It's still not finished. It has wings that set up on the sides. Anyway, this is some other stuff.
Oh, nice.
This is another guide for medium as well. This was using the stuttering. So when you're up res a layer, it stutters. And you can actually use the stuttering to create cool shapes and cool designs.
Wow, yeah, that's cool.
These are some screenshots of Sinex itself. And, oh, hang on, that's a video, one sec. So this is the video. I'll just stop share, and I'll optimize the share because it won't.
Someone says, coming soon, the Sterling random name generator.
The random name generator. So this is a video of the craft. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, cool. So this is a video of the craft in Blender in Eevee. So I did the rocks flying up underneath the ground, and I used a plugin called HDR Maker 2, which is just amazing. Allowed me to bring the sketch from Gravity Sketch, basically, and straight into Blender and play around with the materials and the lighting and do the boosters and set it in a scene.
The video is just a little grainy, but I think people can still generally see like the look of it. But how was the process of taking that to a 3D print? Was there from Gravity Sketch to 3D printing? How was that process?
There's a challenge. It's challenging.
Yeah.
Right? I call it washing, and this is some of my terminology. It, right? So you have a design, and you have all this crisp detail, and you have all this detail as you push it through a pipe.
Hey Sterling, your audio is going in and out again, unfortunately.
In and out again. Okay.
Sorry,
how's it going now?
I think
is it better now?
I think so it'll go for like 10 seconds, and then it'll cut out for about 3 seconds and come back for
Okay.
The webcam one seemed to work really well, except towards the end there it just went away.
All right. I'll switch again. Want to do that?
Yeah, that probably would be good.
Okay. Let's go to this. This.
It's amazing any of this technology works at all, isn't it? Right? It's just
Especially with Australian internet.
Yeah, streaming, audio, VR, it's crazy.
Crazy. So if you want to, I don't know, just maybe I just go. If it drops out.
Sure.
So you're asking me, what was the question?
The question just was like going from Gravity Sketch to 3D printing. How was the process?
Yeah. So I call it washing. Is basically you're washing the mesh clean. You start with the mesh that you've created, and you're pushing it through this different sort of little workshops or little shops. Maybe it goes from Gravity Sketch, maybe it goes to Medium, maybe it goes to ZBrush, Blender, 3D Coat, and then back out, right? So wherever you end up, if you end up to a render, you've washed the mesh through the process to clean it up, to deliver it to a rendering state. And same thing happens kind of with 3D printing is you start off with a piece. Again, with Gravity Sketch, you might create thin surfaces for the cowling and the design, and then you need to have thickness for those to then print, and then you need to make that mesh watertight, so it's absolutely watertight, so it prints. So there's so many little steps that you need to go through to make that happen.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering about the making it like a closed model. in order for printing, and I just was curious about your process for that. So it sounds like you take it through like a voxel modeling process to close it all up.
So that's the piece at the moment. I'll try and get out of the focus.
That's so cool.
So
Yeah.
there we go.
That's awesome. I would totally buy that if you were selling those.
Yeah, so the funny thing is I'd really like to make some speedcraft that are about the same size, about 20 mil, 200 mil, 20 centimeters. And, you know, it takes a lot to manufacture. Like if someone said to you, I want 100 of those, you've got to make 100 of those, and they've got to sit there, and you've got to manufacture them.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea in practice, in theory, but in practice, it's actually pretty full on. So.
Yeah. No, I've watched a good enough. I've watched my share of Shark Tank and have learned a thing or two.
So my microphone just dropped out. It's back now, yeah?
Yep, that's back again.
Wow. Cool.
It's okay. Everybody's patient, and it's all good. We're getting mostly everything you're saying, so that's great. You know,
that's good.
It's all good.
Make it watertight. So if you come from Gravity Sketch with a really thin surface, you need to make thickness, and then to make it watertight, I then took it into medium, and I built out the surfaces to sort of. I connected surfaces as I was going through the model. So I wanted to import that mesh into medium as quick as possible to get a feel for it and to see what's going on with it. From there, so basically it was Gravity Sketch Blender, then to give it thickness, then Blender to medium to do the underside of the undercarriage. And then from medium, it was to 3D coat to basically wipe out the.
Sorry, Sterling, can you just repeat the 3D coat step?
Yep.
It cut out there, sorry.
So I pulled the interior stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so what it does is it revoxelizes the mesh and wipes out any of the center stuff.
Wow.
All the pockets, all the little pockets in there, and it captures the mesh. I think I ended up with, out of medium, I got out at 29 million polys, which is a bit overkill.
Yeah. It's a lot. But
so
better to go high than lower, I guess, right?
Exactly, because it's about capturing the detail. You want to capture as much detail as you can, and you want to nurture it along the way.
Yeah.
So from there, back into ZBrush, and then I start cutting out and Boolean slicing out each part. And
okay.
Yeah, I use a program. I use a Dynamesh Master. And what it does is it Dynameshes a mesh, but it projects time, and it captures the detail really, really good. So once I got a Dynamesh, I then decimate it, and then I export it for print. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And so the Dynamesh, you said that was ZBrush or that was 3D Coat?
ZBrush.
ZBrush, yeah.
Wow. 3D Coat's just making it watertight and voxelizing it and making it watertight.
Okay.
And then you voxelize it, and then you make it into a surface, like a mesh, and then you export that mesh out to ZBrush. Yeah.
And that's that watertight, just completely closed mesh that is perfect for printing, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, especially with those surfaces in Gravity Sketch, because they have no thickness. You know, that's one of the tricky things that we get from the community is, you know, can we get thickness, you know, on surfaces? And so that's something that the product team is well aware of. It's just a matter of, I believe right now it's just a matter of math and making sure that it doesn't like crash, basically, because in VR it's quite a hefty calculation. So But that's just one of the tricks right now. Is there's a lot of things that we would like to do in VR. It's just the limitations of of performance. So, but as technology gets better, we can do more stuff, which is
you could do like a proxy visualization where you see it thick. When you're exporting it, you say, you could confirm the thickness.
Yeah.
So, like proxy visualization, meaning you're just showing someone what it looks like.
Right.
Like a modifier,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then on the way out, you say, would you like to commit your thickness? And you say, yeah, is it 0.2 or 2 or 5 or whatever? And then you say yes, and then it goes out with thickness.
That's a great idea. Yeah,
or creasing as well. Maybe it's got to have creasing as well too. So.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna make the note of that too, because I think that's a really good idea. I'm sure that the team has probably thought of something like that too. I think they use that principle with some of the other features, but I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, that's definitely a great way.
Yeah. I wish that the surface tool had thickness, so when you're pulling surfaces, that had thickness. And then I also wish that the stroke tool, the ribbon stroke tool, because that thing's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ribbon tool had thickness as well.
Yeah. I think
what I usually do is I scale the scene up and I make that ribbon tool quite large, and then I leave it and I make myself a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the only surface right now in a Gravity Sketch that has thickness is Revolve. You can actually add thickness to that, which is cool. And so, if you could have something like that for the other surfaces, that would be really cool.
The request?
What's that?
Do you want to know another request?
Yeah, feel free. Go right ahead.
So the one... what would you request? Like, definitely thickness, right? Because that's a no-brainer. The next one's a wind tunnel, right? So imagine having like a little wind tunnel where you could put a craft and Gravity Sketch is like showing a little ticker tape wind tunnel flow. It doesn't need to be a simulation, it just needs to be like just wavy curves, running off the back of the edge. And you could actually start to design the lift and the airfoil, and see how the airfoil's working. Or you could put a car in there and have your car sitting there, and you could see the ticker tapes running off the ends.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be super cool. I've never heard that one before. I think that's a pretty new one.
So you just put some curves in there and have them just like flying off the back end.
I'm sure there'd be a way to fake it, to make it.
I really think so too.
Yeah. That's a great one. Yeah, that would be so great for like cars, airplanes, anything. Maybe potentially even things that are like, water based even. Any kind of I guess fluid dynamics stuff. I guess, but that's a great one. I like that idea.
Yeah. Cool. Do you want to jump in and do some VR?
Yeah, I think that would be great if you're ready. Sterling, just everybody for watching. Sterling's gonna do a little demo for us. I think maybe you're gonna show something you've already been working on, and then do like a sketch or
Yeah. I'll see.
You cut out there. Sorry. Can you? You cut off.
I heard that cut out. I'm actually hearing it cut out. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, that's weird.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we've had Sterling. Everybody, Sterling and I have been having some technical difficulties before we started this, and it's just, we're pushing it through, right? We're strong, and we're gonna, we're not gonna give up.
We're not gonna give up. All right, I'll jump into Gravity Sketch, yeah?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And if anybody that's watching
anything else?
Sorry, go ahead, Sterling.
Any questions?
I was Yeah, I was just going to say that if anybody has any questions for Sterling, feel free to ask. Let's see. I am interested. Somebody said, "Great question. I'm interested in the workflow Sterling uses to get these designs 3D printing." So you answered that question. And somebody else was just saying, it'd be cool to have a fabric simulation as well, which would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, fabric simulation's pretty covered. Like ZBrush just released their cloth sim.
Yeah.
Blender's got a beautiful cloth sim.
Yeah.
Podon's about to release a cloth sim. I mean, I agree. Fabric would be great, especially for doing garments in Gravity Sketch. Like that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mate, yeah, I think I agree now. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
No, it just took you a minute to imagine it, and they're like, "Yeah, that would be sweet."
I was like, yeah. I can imagine having your mannequin and then designing a dress.
Yeah.
Sketch, and then it's just drapery. Yeah.
I think it's only a matter of time till we have something like in VR that we could, I don't know if you ever heard of Clo or Marvelous Designer, something in VR like that, where you could make your garment or your pattern, and you could actually, move the folds around and stitch together, and that would be incredible in VR.
Yeah. Yeah.
See.
Just going to switch my mic out to... Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah. Okay, good. And do that. Zoom meeting over there. Close that. Close that. You can hear me all right? All good?
Yeah, audio's great.
Yeah. Great, okay. Cool, so Gravity Sketch. And then I'll share the screen to you. You see that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right.
It's a little grainy though.
All right. So I can just check the share in Zoom, because the share in Zoom, you can optimize its sharing so it keeps it nice and clean.
Okay.
But I'll turn that off, and we'll try it again. That'll be clearer. Is that better?
Oh yeah, that's crystal clear.
Okay, cool. All right. Cool. So you can see what I'm doing all right?
There's a little bit of a delay, so
yeah. I think that's going to happen if you do the optimize
there you go.
For sharing.
I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There's just a little delay, there's like a 4 or 5 second delay between your audio and your video.
Okay. All right. I'll try and talk slowly. I'll move slower. All right. So I usually I like the lighting at the moment in Gravity Sketch. I think it's amazing. So yeah, I work with the ground plane. It'd be good to have different colors or be able to change the color of the ground plane, just to put that one on. You hear me okay? Yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you really well. The video is just pretty choppy, but I mean, it's crystal clear. It's very stuttery, but your audio is great and the quality of the image is good. It's just the frame rate is like super choppy.
Well, I'll try with the optimize. How's that? That should be better.
Yeah, I think we should just go that route. It's a little grainier,
Yeah.
but it's definitely real time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
let's just go with that. It looks good.
Yeah. All right. So.
And then towards the end, we can just like, when you're done, you could just switch it and we could see it like clear or something.
Yeah. Where is it? I'm just downloading a sketch from the other day, right?
Nice.
Right.
Ooh, that's super cool.
So this was done on the Quest 2, right? The Quest 2 is beautiful. It's so quick.
Yeah.
And I faked the shadows, so I drew the shadows in the Quest, like I just
Oh, wow, that's cool.
use the planar brush, like just use the planar and use your stroke. And where is it? Planar, stroke, and set that down. Where's my planar? Where am I? Sorry, I'm a little lost. It's like here. Stroke. Oh, planar, and I think I squashed it. Like I think I squashed the brush, and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
Where
sense.
Where's my plane gone? There it is. Planar. There it is. So squash the brush, and then use your mirror. Mirror's on. Yep. And you can just sort of paint out the shadow, and you can actually capture the shadow from down here and just paint out the shadow. That? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a little dragonfly craft. Again, really quick. I didn't spend a lot of time worrying much about anything. That's the best part of this is being able to creatively move quickly.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna quickly see what I'm seeing. 1 second, so sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I usually like to have the window inside Oculus so then I can see what you're seeing, or I can direct the shot a bit better. And I'll just move my mouse out of the way. There we go. How's that better?
The virtual desktop is really useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
So, yeah, that's better. Yeah. So, yeah, this is a really loose sketch. Like this is all started from a loose sketch. There's not a lot of investment in confirming anything. That's what the interesting thing is just being able to loosely jump in and find a design and not commit, not have too much. You don't want to get like bogged down by the hard stuff.
I mean, literally what you're doing, just that right there, you grabbing that wing and just putting it in the back and placing it. That's at least 30 seconds of work in a 2D program.
Absolutely, yeah. It's heaps of work, like.
That right there. Done. And you just you position it exactly how you want it. You understand it completely what you just did.
Yeah. That's what I think is probably. That's what I have the most fun with, right? That's what gives me the most the most fun. So inside the cockpit, you've just got your interior here. I'll just hide this layer. Hang on.
Oh man, that's so cool.
So that's and I really like to sketch out these controls really simply. Like I'll literally just use the stroke tool and change it to a normal color. And I'll turn it off planar. Yes. change that shape back to circle. And it's on there. So if I'm designing a controls, if I'm up here, right? If I'm designing controls and I'm facing forward like this, and I have a brush or the stroke, I want to pull this in and say there, and then use some end caps, turn off your end caps, and maybe you want controls there, and maybe you want to have some controls here and here.
Wow, yeah.
And what I'll do here is I'll just make this smaller. You know, you can change the style really quickly.
Yeah.
And same with here. You want to maybe this is going to be a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, or not at all. Maybe you want to duplicate this, and then make this bigger, shorter. And I love your at the moment the array tool is just amazing. Like this array tool is so cool. Like I think that's just the best.
Yeah, it's great.
So you can do stuff like that, and I mean, if this is a normal cylinder, we could just do it like this, and then shrink it, and put it in here, put it in place, and then array it this way, right? Like that's amazing. I really think that array tool is just amazing.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's when that feature came out, I was just like, oh man, thank you so much.
Yeah, and so you end up with a really quick design for this. You know, for the way this control sits, or how do you want to hold it? You know, how does it, again, like I said before, about what does it feel like to hold it? You know? How does it feel in your hands, and does it protrude into your shoulders? Do you need to move it over? Stuff like that.
Yeah. Ergonomics. You're talking about ergonomics now, really.
Yeah, exactly. Like, ergonomics. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
so what does it look like down here, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
Like, sure, I just made something random, but how does it feel up here? Is it part of the engine? You know, is it a piston or part of the engine work? Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's pretty good there. Like, that doesnand look bad at all.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Immediately cool.
Yeah. So, so and also type, like doing with my Sinex craft, I did the interesting thing is that in Medium, I wrote like the words, I wrote the word Sinex, and I'll just do this again. Where's my planner? Yeah, planner. So I wrote the word Sinex, and I was like, Sinex, like that, and I put that on the side of my craft, like up on the side, and especially with Gravity Sketch, you can sort of turn it off, take it off planar.
Yeah.
And move that type over the sides of the body, and process the design, onto the surface itself.
It would be kind of cool to have like a shrink feature where you could, like, if you had a stroke or something, and you wanted to wrap it in post after you made the stroke. Because you can. There is like a mode where you can draw on a surface, but like maybe in post Absolutely. You want to shrink it. That'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah, the surface tool is great. It works. I think it works pretty. Where is it? Surface. Here. No.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's on the stroke. I think it's on the stroke tool, not the ink one.
Stroke tool. There we go. There you go. I'll turn it off planar.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm getting lost. 1 second. end caps.
Oh yeah, it's
off.
the bottom left. Yeah, that the one. Yeah, that. Yeah.
That's it, yeah. So, yeah, get some pretty bubbly, pretty cute things. Yeah, I like the organics of that. Yeah, so that's that craft, and it was fun. Like that was in the Quest 2. Wasn't a big drama to make. I had a lot of fun making it.
Yeah. And it's so nice to not be connected by a cord either.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The best part then is that once it's saved to the landing pad, you can just open it straight away in Gravity Sketch, and you can get your camera out and take some shots of it and things like that. I'll just
I like that custom shadow thing you did there. I'm definitely gonna steal that and make my own shadows.
Yeah. Okay. So if I start like a blank sketch, I usually like to just freely sketch. Like I really like to get a flow of how I'm visualizing something. So with the Dragonfly ship, I was like sort of visualizing like something like this, where it flows out and then the cockpit comes in like this, and the wings are coming out here, and the landing, the seats in here, and the front's here. You know what I mean? Like it's all about staying as loose as you can, and like that, right?
Yeah.
But let's change it up today, because we're not doing that ship. We've already done one of those, right? So if we do something like this and think about our rail lines, how they're coming in, and are the boosters on the front? How do they look at the front? Has it got a big fin on the back? Does the fin? Anyway, I'm talking, and I'll do less talking for a second.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, this is beautiful. While Sterling is sketching here, Sterling is just kind of like showing his process for free sketching and Gravity Sketch, and his thinking behind getting a concept down, just starting from nothing and starting from an idea or a direction in your head and just getting it out in 3D space, and not really worrying about precision, and just getting forms out. Yeah, I love watching. There's something really peaceful about watching someone sketch in general, but I think especially in Gravity Sketch, just kind of like it's cool to see things, just come out, in 3D. Somebody, if you want to answer this, maybe Sterling, somebody's asking, what's the learning curve of Gravity Sketch? I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, the first learning curve of any virtual reality app is onboarding. Once you've gotten through onboarding in virtual reality, everything else becomes a lot quicker. When I say onboarding, usually VR anxiety happens to a lot of people quite quickly. Is that you're basically like you're diving, right? You're going underwater, you're putting your diving goggles on, and it can become very claustrophobic for people, and that's one of the biggest blocks. Once you get past that, the learning curve becomes quite quick, where it's really just like your muscle memory habits. So that's your muscle memories, like that's your tool menu, and then the next muscle memory is that this is your settings menu.
Yeah.
Do you want to add a reference image? Do you want to import something? Do you want to add a layer? So that's where it all sort of sits. But the UI design in virtual reality is a lot different to 2D apps. It's all muscle memory. It's all in your hands right here. This is, I think, the hardest thing I got. the thing that got me the hardest was the color tool. When I first started using Gravity Sketch, this was probably the hard one.
Yeah.
Learning how to sort of gently find the color. And then if I wanted to color something, I've got to grab it in my grip hand here and then hit the color tool and then change the color. So that's like a 3-point movement, like grab, hold, check, color,
Yeah.
And I think some of those processes, and there's little hidden features, and that's what's really good, is that's now grouped, and if I want to group more, I can just grab it and use the hexagons here and group it, and grab more and group it, So now it's all grouped. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, I think that was great answer. Just basically, like with any tool, there's going to be some, it's almost like walking into a new room or new space. You have to learn, where the couch is and see where everything's located. I remember for me when I was first starting Gravity Sketch that the color wheel was probably one of the trickier ones for me to get used to and remember. I would say the learning curve for Gravity Sketch is far less of a curve than, say, something like Blender, just because of the number of tools is so much less, right? And then I think you also have the benefit of VR being just intuitive. You know what I feel like, you know what you want to do more intuitively in VR, so
intuition's huge.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, like if you're in Blender, you have an idea of what you want to do, but you're not really seeing the effects of what you're doing as clearly as you are in VR. In VR, you're just like, all right, this thing is way too tall or wide here. You know exactly how to solve it. Now, learning the tools is just the next step. It's just like which tool is best for that step.
Yeah. There is also there does exist an issue with stereoscopic scaling. So for me, it can get a little bit difficult to pick the scale of something when you're in VR. So using an object like bringing in a mannequin in here, like a person. This is hang on, I've just got to do my import. So you want to know what the scale is, and that's where meter scale is great. You've got someone in there, you're going to move them over into position, then you're going to grab everything else, and hopefully can snap scale it, I guess.
I've noticed, so that's one thing that a lot of people have been wanting is to be able to scale uniformly. A little trick that I've learned is if you turn on the grid, you should be able to do that.
Yeah, that's the old trick I've learnt too, which is grid snapping it. And so got ourselves a bit of a tricky situation, but we'll get there. There we go. Okay, so we have I'll turn off grid now. Now we have a position where that's in scale. And bring this down. Okay. So that's going to help you create something that's to scale.
Yeah, the mannequin is a great tool for that. Just like anchoring everything to a real world, real world scale there. And then, if you want to verify maybe a more specific measurement, you can also use the, just for everybody watching, you can also use the tool belt, which has a tape measure on it, and you can actually measure things if you're getting a little more granular.
Swipe with your grip button, and then this measure here, which is 1.4, and then you want to measure the front of the ship, and you say, well, it's on nose to tail. Nose to tail is 7 meters long.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you were saying to me, that this tool here is really good, where you can rotate an object, which I really like this.
Yeah, that is nice.
Because I was doing some landing gear, or just sketching out some landing gear, like let's say. Another tip as well is sort of sketching blocks. Like if you're making something, don't overcomplicate it. So, and if you want to move it, you can move it in position after the fact, rather than sort of saying, oh, here's, hang on.
That's a really good point.
Here's a sketch like of some landing gear, like this, same sort of thing, but I can't really do much with it. It's actually pretty good when you do it this way, because you can move it all in direction, but you're going to get lost in sort of like a bit of a blobby situation. Whereas with this, you can say, oh, well, that's now sitting in position, and when you group it, you can then use your tool belt to add the pivot and then move the pivot in rotation with that, So if you want to change the position of the landing gear to the center, you go back to the tool belt here and rotate it, and just merge these up. Then we end up with, the centerpiece. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just really like, this is what the part I like the most is having fun and not getting overly technical.
Yeah.
Keeping it loose, not committing to too much, and opening up the fluidity of gravity sketch, and like the fluidity of your design, and being able to just be free and move around and just spend some time with a design and start to think about its language. That's where if I go deeper into that, if we look at language, we can look at the language that the arcs are all talking a language of cohesion across the surfaces, right? So everything sort of is talking to itself. How do they interlock? Are they interlocking? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a really good point. It's it's all unified, and when you stay in this loose sort of way of working, you're going to have that connectivity. I feel like when you're not trying to get too bogged down and too focused in the details, you're always looking at it as a whole. I tend to find, at least
absolutely,
at least usually, and you're definitely inspiring me. Like some of the sketches that I want to do next, I want to try some looser stuff and just see where it goes. I don't think I really do enough of that. And it's really cool to see, you just being loose and free with it, and getting this really unique design out of it. And like you said, everything is just like, because it's all starting. I mean, I think when you did that first stroke or that first sketch, you basically fleshed out the entire shape in 2 seconds, and so
exactly
everything you're doing is connected to that form. You're not starting with a wing, for 5 minutes, and then now you're moving to the fuselage. That you start to get disconnected designs out. I think working that way.
Absolutely, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So it's really, really cool to see that process and carrying through the aesthetic. as you work.
And jumping back and forward to like sketching again, even for intricate things. Like if we were to sort of think about how's this landing gear going to work? Like, is it coming out the side here and locking out this way? Does it have feet? Is it got a ball joint here and a ball joint here? Does it fold out this way? You know?
Yeah.
So I'm already working out a rough idea of what I want from the design, and then if I go into here and say, oh yeah, well I'm happy with the ball joint being here, and I'm happy with it going here, and I'm happy with some little feet going at the back here, then I can now start to change the size of the stroke, you just hold it and then just use the trigger the joystick left and right. So
yeah,
and you can also
that's nice.
Good for making claws, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if you want to make some claws, and then you want to add some cylinders in here. And you've planned out your landing gear, basically.
Wow, there you go. That's amazing.
They look pretty insect-like at the moment. Hang on.
Yeah. Yeah, heavy insect vibes.
Yeah.
I love it though. It's do you so I noticed you're drawing that red line there, or those red strokes. Is that like, were those accentuating lines, or do you do I don't know if this is what you're doing, but will you do like a rough sketch like this and then sketch over it again, almost like an underlay, and do like a cleaner version?
No, I don't use those. That's just for explaining.
Okay.
They're just basically like talking about the rail lines.
Got it.
That's good, but what I was saying to you before, or showing before, was by me just sketching out something. If I how'd you say, like if I wanted like a little generator, you know, what does a little generator look like? Well, it's just a box, right? It's just a quick box, and it's got an arc on top, and it's got an input here and an output here. That's going to go up into here, and this box is going to go into the ground, right? Ground's going to have some interlocking pieces because it needs to have fuel coming up the ground, and we can just basically just go now and do it, you know. Nothing. There's no one saying you can't do it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold that in. Oops, I'm on the wrong setting. Here, and then go snap, snap, and then, you know, you can start to design it quickly.
So someone's asking, and I think you might have answered it already, maybe, but they're asking, do you typically do your rough sketches on a layer and surfaces on another layer so you can keep those separate? It seems like you're doing everything on one layer.
Yeah, I used to plan a lot, like plan out my layers, but then what happened was when I want to change direction. So right now I'm on one layer, right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple here from the existing piece. How do you delete layers? Do you know?
If you use your grab sphere, you can actually grab the layer with the grab sphere and delete it just like you delete anything else.
Gotcha. Thank you. Goes to show how much I use layers. No, I love layers. They're really helpful. But in the start, I don't use them much because if I need to move everything up off the ground, then I can move everything. Later on, I'll add a layer for the canopy, and the canopy will be a gloss blue, and we'll do a surface tool, and that layer is for the canopy itself, you know?
I see. That makes sense.
And then, you know, yeah, sure, if I'm doing other things down the track that require more layers, I'll just add more layers, you know?
Yeah.
Let's say we want a canopy either side at the front here. And
That's cool.
Our cockpit sits, again, going back into that really quick design is how we're going to do that. Well, we could do it in the middle here. Oh, hang on, wrong layer. Do it in the middle. Merge this. Yeah. That'll take some work, but anyway. Let's not do that.
I see where you're going, though. I see where you're going with it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I like to steer away sometimes from my general habits. Like at the moment, I'm doing center cockpits with wide bodies. I'll start to move into asymmetrical cockpits or dual or rear top, small front. Does it look good with cannons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That stuff can get complicated because if you do something that's if you do a symmetrical, if you do a dual cockpit situation, each of those individual cockpits need to be symmetrical. So it's like you almost have to
that's right.
build one first and then move it over and then mirror that entire cockpit design. It's a little bit more involved, but yeah.
Yeah, if you could have multiple mirrors, or that's like saying to Ford, can you just add another piston while I'm at the service while I'm just going to get my car serviced, can you just put another piston in?
Yeah.
So for you guys, that's a technical operation to add another mirror plane. I can see that. Like this thing's every tool you use is using mirror. Is it mirrored? Is it not mirrored?
Mm-hmm.
So adding extra mirror planes is a good idea, but it's also quite tricky.
Yeah. It can quickly get very confusing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm just mesmerized by your process, so but yeah, it's it's like you could ask it, you could ask for it, you can have it, but you have to it's almost like with some of these tools you have to be aware of their power. It's like it can get you into some tough spots if you don't quite know how to wield it.
Yeah, and also just to remember that the people have to write this stuff. Like someone goes up and says, "Oh, I'd like to thank this person and that person and whatever," but no one actually gets up and says, "I'd like to thank the software." Like I'd like to thank Gravity Sketch and the people who code it and create it.
Yeah.
Because the film that just we all sat and watched, and nobody really thinks about the people in the back end of the coders that make that stuff.
Yeah, it's very true. It deserves just as much credit. Without the tools, it wouldn't.
Someone said to me last night, "Why do you use so many tools to get the job done?" And I said, "Well, I'm just a vehicle. Like I'm just, washing these meshes or creating a shape or a design, and it comes out. And it's these days with a printer, it's in reality. Like you have it in your hands. I sat in it in Gravity Sketch. I sat in it in Medium, and now I've printed it, and it's 20 centimeters long, and it sits in my hand. But I've sat in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's pretty profound.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'll take this. I'll gladly take this moment and just thank the product team at Gravity Sketch. They do amazing work, and they're always looking for. I just think what's really cool about the Gravity Sketch team is they're always keen and interested in what the community is saying and what they are wanting, things that they're desiring, and we really do take those things into account and basically decide, this is what people are wanting, and then put into a batch of what we're going to work on for a quarter, and then get it done basically. And so anytime we ask for feedback, we're really genuinely asking for feedback and asking for, what people want, because that's really how Gravity Sketch has gotten to where it is even at this moment, is from implementing literal features that have come directly from the community. So, it's a loop, it's a circular process of community saying this is what we want, and then the amazing engineers and mathematicians at Gravity Sketch figuring out how to make it work, in VR, and then doing it, and it's incredible.
It's a huge challenge because virtual reality is very, very different to a traditional 2D art. The process of touching things and grabbing things, you're like, I want a tool, in here. And you're like, that's good that you want the tool, but for you to implement that in VR, you have a physical interaction with the touch controller coding, and then running it all through Unity so it all works, and then reliability and redundancy, things like that. It's
that's another thing that I think people sometimes don't think about as well, is figuring out how it's going to be integrated into the UI interaction. Because some features, some tools, they almost like a domino effect. If they were implemented, it would domino affect the other tools or the other interactions. And so there just as much time needs to be spent on, okay, we can make this tool, but okay, what's the most intuitive way that we can integrate it or include it into the rest of the tool set that makes sense? Is it a part of an existing tool? And so that's the challenge as well. Is just the UI part of it. Like an example right now is a feature that is much requested by a lot of people is Booleans, and being able to cut away from objects using another object. And sort of the trick with that is just, from what I've heard, is that it's just a massive math calculation, it you can do it in Oculus Medium because it's voxel based and it's pretty straightforward mathematically as far as I understand. But the way that Gravity Sketch constructs the 3D meshes, it's not voxels. It's based on other kinds of math and curves, and there's a lot more calculating involved. And so it's not impossible. It just requires a lot more time and things like that. I mean, Boolean functions in Blender, even in just like professional programs, can crash them. So it's already quite a task to do just in normal programs, but that one's just like an example.
With ZBrush, it's literally it can be a 10-step process where you've got your layers set up where I want this to Boolean that, and then once you've Booleaned this object is Booleaning this object, then you get a new object that's got it all cut out.
Yeah.
Then you've got to bring that object back into your layer and then Boolean this from that. Then you end up with an interlocking piece, and then you've got two surfaces that you don't need anymore, so then you've got to put them in a folder and go, I'm not looking at you for the next half an hour or an hour. I now am focused on the two interlocking pieces.
Doesn't ZBrush now have like active booleans though now or something?
Do they? The recent update? I see. I'm really picky. Hey, like I get sentimental with software.
Oh, okay.
Like if my ZBrush is working on 2009 and it's really quick. 2019 and it's really quick. And 2021 is causing me a little bit of drama, I'll literally just wait.
Hey, I mean, it's fair.
Until it's not, Yeah. But that's no. I couldn't do what I do sometimes without ZBrush at all. Like, ZBrush is definitely made in Area 51. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's strange. I dabbled in it while I was in school, and it's very powerful. I mean, people do incredible work with it. It's really interesting how different it is compared to other 3D programs.
Yeah, yeah. It's when you ask someone to say, if you said to someone, how does ZBrush see geometry? It just sees it as data. It doesn't actually see the geometry. I could be wrong. It's seeing it as data and then it's showing it back to you as a 3D surface. These days it's becoming, I think it's much more technical. I could just be absolutely like going left of field right now and talking about the wrong things, but
no worries.
I might stop.
No, it's no worries. No, it's all good. It's very, I think it's very interesting. I think it's interesting to a lot of the people that, follow Gravity Sketch, interested in tools. I think probably that's what draws a lot of us to this is, tools, but also like, what can you do with the tools? Somebody else on the comments here said, great work as usual. Someone else said, Sterling, I like your work. So people are loving it.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much.
And we might be getting up on time here, but I just want to take a minute and thank everybody that has been watching, and this will be available after the live is over, so you can go ahead and watch if you missed the beginning. And also feel free to follow Sterling on Instagram and on Artstation. I've linked his socials on the description for this video, so feel free to go there, look him up, and see more of his amazing work. Sterling, awesome. I wanted to ask you, I think you were already talking about it, because one of the things I asked towards the end is like any features you want, but I think you already talked about that.
Yeah. Surface thickness would be like literally, that would be like Christmas,
Yeah.
Because what my processes are, creating something in Gravity Sketch, and then I really do love to just go to medium and loosen up and get even more organic with the shape. And having that ability to hop between is pretty valuable. And it's the only thing holding it back right now is solid watertight surfaces. Yeah. I can get these into medium. I can get strokes into medium. I can get any object into medium. But as soon as I use the surface tool, that there has to be, like I said, you can do it. You can extrude the surface as a whole, but you don't have the thickness.
Yeah, absolutely. I know footwear designers have also been really wanting a surface thickness as well. They've been saying that would really help with their shoe models, because
absolutely.
They really need surface thickness for the patterning that they do, and also for like renderings, and it just helps with like their pattern workflow. So there's a lot of uses for the surface thickness, and the team is definitely aware of that one. So I think it's only a matter of time, honestly, for surface thickness.
Yeah, and a wind tunnel. Absolutely, we'll just get a wind tunnel.
Yeah, that would be sweet. That's an interesting one.
Better right now than to sit here and look at what does this look like in a wind tunnel. I can fake one, like sketch one.
It's really fun to, it's just visually cool it would be so visual just to see that. I've seen people do stuff like that too in like Quill, the animating VR software, where they do they'll draw like streams of like air streams, but of course it has to be drawn. It's not really actually curving around your model. But
no,
but yeah, that would be a really cool feature as well.
That's all I can think of at the moment. I'm really happy with Gravity Sketch. It's quick, it's fluid. It allows me to have a transparent canopy, which I think is probably the most valuable thing.
Mm-hmm.
A transparent layer. It's got rotate. Yeah, I'm pretty. I don't really think there's anything else I could request. Booleans would be great, but it's like you said, it's a technical feat. It's not just I want Booleans. It's
Yeah.
it's technical.
I think it's a
So,
matter of time for that, but just maybe a little bit longer. It seems.
yeah,
But yeah, well, those are all great and valuable. So last thing I want to ask you
yeah.
is there anything that you're working on currently that you'd like to share or maybe tease about? And is there any other places that you'd like people to go see something that you're working on or anything like that at all?
Look, I do my freelance. I have my freelance work, and can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, mm-hmm.
Sorry, I think I'm on a rift. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One second. Just let me change my mic. Right. Right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's good.
Yep. Okay. Anything I'm working on? No. Look, I've got my freelance work, and I value. I made a choice a long time ago not to do fan art, and I've done a little bit of fan art, but I just don't really delve into it because it doesn't drive my creative forward. It's YIP, your intellectual property, which is it's not even property. It's just your intellectual creative is yours.
Yeah.
You know? If it's property, well, you want to make some money off it, right? But that's not my purpose. Isn't to make a lot of money with what I do. Sure, if I do, great. That's cool. I'm happy with that. Money makes the world go round.
Yeah.
But like designing IP and creating your own designs and creativity is something that I think is lacking now. I know that it's okay to do fan art and it gets you stronger and it makes you stronger and helps you technique and style and all that kind of thing, but it doesn't drive new foundations and new boundaries. It doesn't drive new creative, 3D comics, like, Bay's got this amazing tool called 3dcomic.shop, and it allows you to create 3D comics in Blender, and that stuff's really amazing because it allows people to jump in and start creating stories in 10, 15 minutes, and stories from themselves. And that's where, I just love to do what I love to do, like I love to do, sit there and create a craft that took me, took 16 hours to print that, and some stress to make sure it all came out okay. And once I add the wings, like that stuff excites me.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Using Gravity Sketch along the way and using Medium, and if I can be in VR and do it, that excites me too, because it allows me to just totally focus and be visual and get your hands dirty without getting your hands dirty.
Yeah. That's so inspiring, and that really inspires me because I think that's something I have a similar feeling. I've never really wanted to recreate someone else's art as much as I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That really feeding that creative hunger is the ultimate, to me, the ultimate sort of the ultimate journey in an artist and designer.
And look, I have my inspirational artists that I look up to, and even found my inspirational artists I look up to me, and I didn't realize that was the case until only in the last year or so.
Wow.
And that's just by me making a bit of an impact, and I think that's great.
Wow.
I'm really humble about that. The on the flip side, I think I said this to you before, was I can spend 2 hours on, I don't like, Pinterest is good, but I wish it had bigger images, right?
Yeah.
So I can spend just 2 hours on Pinterest just looking through shots of octopus and cuttlefish, and then finding my way through cuttlefish into just amazing insects, or God, it could just be just different types of butterflies and moths. And I just sit there I literally shake my head and go, oh my God, like this is just amazing. Like I love Artstation. Artstation is beautiful. Yeah. The industry wouldn't be what it was if it wasn't there. But there's only so long I can look at other people's artwork without wondering, what am I doing? What am I going to do about it?
Yeah, That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Who do I want to inspire? And sometimes I really don't. I actually just don't care if nobody likes my work.
That's awesome.
Like I'm so excited by like this craft here. I look at it and go, oh my God, it's amazing. And I'm not being crass or like self-centered.
No.
I sort of sit there and go, how the hell did that come out? Like,
you're just appreciating what is good.
Yeah. And yeah, to put it in a short sense, it's about in out versus out in. I see my creative comes from inside me out to the world. I don't technically wait for other people's approval to make my position feel any better. Yeah.
Wow. Words of wisdom from Sterling Osment. That's really good stuff.
Wash your mesh.
Yeah. You wash your mesh. Good. Yeah. No, thank you so much, Sterling, for sharing your process and sharing your journey, taking a deep dive into your thought process. I mean, it was super educational for me and inspiring to me, and I know that it was for everybody watching as well. And so, I really look forward to seeing the work that you continue doing, and I just thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Jaron.
Yeah,
I appreciate you inviting me onto this and giving me the opportunity to talk and express, my perspectives and interests and share my story as well. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, of course. Well, thank you everybody that's been watching, and if you missed it somehow and you're joining towards the end, this will be available as soon as it's over. So, thank you to everybody watching, and tune in next Thursday. All right, see you everybody. I'm gonna end this.
Thank you. See ya.